Super Smash Bros. For Wii U. My feelings towards you are so complicated. Smash 4 is a game that is simultaneously important, yet forgettable to me. I remember being so hyped for it, with all the new characters and stages seeming so exciting, and at the time I really did love playing that game, especially since I was really becoming more aware of the community surrounding Smash then. I don't think I'd be here, making videos like this, if not for my experience with Smash 4. But in hindsight, it just seems so soulless and pointless compared to every other game in the series. There's a few reasons for this, and maybe that's worth talking about in another video, but one big reason is the lack of a major single-player experience. Adventure mode was infamously absent from this entry, apparently due to Sakurai taking issue with the Subspace Emissaries cutscenes being posted online. And yes, that's a silly reason to remove that type of mode, especially since you could still have a single-player campaign or something like that without a focus on story. But nope, we didn't get that. No adventure mode, and the modes that were still there felt so homogenized, randomized, and aimless in every conceivable way, leaving Smash 4 as a game with a lot of options, yet nothing to do. Except for Smash Tour! Yes, Smash Tour was treated as the big main event of Smash for Wii U. For some reason. It's the Wii U game's equivalent to the 3DS version's Smash Run, a mode that, ironically, would have worked way better on a home console. Both of these modes are placed front and center on their respective main menus, presented with a green button, you know, like adventure mode. And you see, that presentation kind of makes sense for Smash Run. Smash for 3DS was a pretty small game, and Smash Run really was its big defining feature. And Smash Run does carry over elements from the previous adventure modes. It's still a stretch, but I can see it. So, what makes the Wii U version Smash Tour mode deserving of such It's a fucking board game. A bad one. Let's take a step back. A board game party mode is an odd thing to feature as prominently as you would a single-player campaign, but let's ignore that for now, because the idea behind Smash Tour is actually kind of promising on the surface. The elevator pitch for this mode is essentially Smash Brothers meets Mario Party.
Super Smash Party, aight.
That sounds pretty awesome, doesn't it? Mario Party is known for chaotic fun, where strategy meets randomness in the most beautiful way. And when you make use of all the wacky items and stages, Smash can be much of the same. So something like Mario Party, but instead of mini-games, you're thrown into various types of Smash battles?
What a game.
But that's just too good to be true, isn't it? In reality, Smash Tour is a poorly designed, dull mess. First, let me explain how the mode actually works. Each player is represented by a Mii of their choice.
Somehow Palpatine returned.
The goal is to collect as many stat buffs and fighters as you can before a final battle between all players, in which the stat buffs are applied and the acquired fighters act as stocks. But collecting those things isn't just about walking around the board. If two players meet on the board, a battle with a random stipulation, or sometimes home run contest or target blast, begins, the result of which will cause players to keep, gain, or lose their current fighters. Keep in mind, this only happens if one player walks into a stationary player, and a player can stop moving at any point during their turn. There's also bosses that occasionally appear that will force a battle upon bumping into them, as well as minor enemies with various behaviors. Additionally, there are special items in the form of trophies, which can be used to inflict positive or negative effects on the board or in battle. Oh, and also everyone moves at the same time. Everything that is going to happen, happens at the same time. Have fun. It may sound like I did a poor job of explaining all of that. I rushed through it, barely went into detail, and jumped from mechanic to mechanic without any rhyme or reason. And yeah, that's Smash Tour. This mode is the epitome of sensory overload and lack of control. The screen is absolutely cluttered with randomly placed fighters, power-ups, trophies, enemies, and even UI. And there's no time to process any of it because, again, everyone moves at the same time and everything is on a timer. Oh, and you're gonna get interrupted every few seconds by a battle, or a boss appearance, or everyone getting scattered, or some other convoluted, nonsensical event that you can barely fathom before it's time to get moving again. I know I called Mario Party chaotic earlier, but it's not like this. Mario Party is much more of a Controlled chaos. Everyone takes turns, there's a defined pattern to the main actions, important events are clearly conveyed through animations and text, and even the most random and absurd twists only come after a player has taken their time and made a decision. This is what we in the business call a game. But Smash Tour refuses to meet the minimum requirements of being comprehensible. There's no time to plan your next move, comprehend changes on the board, or even read the description of items. Instead of encouraging strategy, Smash Tour facilitates actual button mashing because honestly, what difference does it make? Shit just happens for seemingly no reason, quickly and simultaneously, and you're not gonna keep up with it. And as if the core gameplay wasn't headache-inducing enough, the level design and visuals are so bad. Smash Tour has 3 boards to choose from: small, normal, and big. And yep, that's pretty much all there is to say about that. They're just random lines, an incoherent canvas for the equally random cluster of icons to be plopped upon. But this one's shaped like the logo. All 3 boards have warp pipes, these checkpoint spaces that buff your stats, spaces that shuffle your stats, and that's it. No shops or real event spaces other than randomly appearing bosses and enemies, because it's not like you would have time for any of that anyway. There's nothing here. These are pathetic, and the visuals certainly reflect that. The boards themselves really are just those lines and flat icons, floating on top of these god-awful backgrounds that have nothing to do with anything. They aren't inspired by any of the series represented in Smash, or even Smash's original content. They don't even really look like places. They're just stuff, and they're not integrated into the board design, nor do they even slightly correlate with it at all. They just sit in the back there, looking ugly. If the World of Light maps are beautifully painted realms that you can literally walk through and interact with, the Smash Tour backgrounds are random-ass generic clip art haphazardly slid onto the worst board game you've ever played. Ugh, after playing all of that, there'd better be a damn good reward. Oh. Well, you know what they say. The punishment fits the crime. But hey, I don't want to just leave it at that. Like I said, conceptually, Smash Tour did have plenty of potential to be a really fun, fresh take on the party game side of Smash Bros. So, let me give my own 2 cents on how I would have improved it. First things first, just make everyone take turns. The everyone moves at once gimmick serves no purpose beyond just making the whole thing incomprehensible and mindless. With an actual turn order, each player can actually understand what they and everyone else has at their disposal and form strategies based on the current game state. And the game itself can take time to properly show and explain what's happening rather than constantly rushing to the next thing. Next, instead of just constantly scattering whatever around the board to collect as you walk by, actually take a page from Mario Party by having most, if not all of the events of the game dictated by the spaces players land on. Buffs, trophy drops, fighter collection, enemy spawns, and other such occurrences should be tied to this, rather than just sort of happening as time goes on. This is already the case with the warp pipes and stat shuffle spaces, so like, just make it the standard. You don't need to make arbitrary changes from Mario Party's mechanics if it's just going to make the gameplay worse. Speaking of which, Mario Party's minigame model should also be used for battles, happening after each full turn rather than whenever players bump into each other. And these shouldn't be limited to just regular battles with random conditions and occasionally a stadium mode. They should be a whole slew of competitions. Bring over the various races and horde battles from Smash Run, put in versions of Board the Platforms and Target Smash, and even come up with new challenges. You know, stuff that can test the various stat buffs and fighters in different ways. Finally, give these boards some proper theming. It's Super Smash Bros., so base the visuals on different game series, maybe by having each board themed around a particular era, genre, or aesthetic. More importantly, have the paths actually go through those environments instead of nebulously floating above them. This sort of thing would lend itself to more interesting level design and presentation, allow for the appearance of thematically fitting NPCs as shopkeepers and such, and grant more logic towards which bosses, enemies, and events appear appear on which boards. But even if they did all that and made Smash Tour the best possible version of itself, would it even matter? Either way, it was ostensibly the main replacement for a big single-player experience, which still wouldn't make sense, even if it were actually good in its own right. But as it stands, Smash Tour is sort of the perfect analogy for Smash 4. Good ideas within a generally hollow, soulless, and forgettable mess. Bye.